Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever watched someone so desperate to prove they're good that they end up exposing every rotten corner of their soul? It's funny, isn't it? They spend so much time polishing their mask, pretending, performing, twisting the story just right until that mask starts to crack. You can see it in their eyes, the twitch, the shake in their smile. They know they're losing control, but the show must go on, right? They can't admit what they are, manipulators in denial. So they scream louder, point fingers, cry victim, and build lies so tall they can't even see the truth anymore. And as they fall to pieces, one by one, trying to prove they aren't the monster you always knew they were, you realize something chilling. They never fooled you. They only fooled themselves. You see, desperation is a beautiful thing. It reveals everything they tried to hide. When someone's whole identity depends on appearing innocent, they'll do anything to protect that illusion. They'll rewrite history, twist your words, play the victim, and smile right in your face while stabbing your trust in the back. They don't care about truth. No, truth terrifies them. What they crave is control. Control over how you see them, control over what others believe, control over the story. But desperation. Oh, it eats through control like acid. Watch closely when their calm starts to shake. They laugh too loud. They explain too much. Their eyes dart. Their words stumble. Their tone changes. It's the sound of someone breaking under the weight of their own lies. They'll post, they'll shout, they'll even cry in front of an audience. But every move screams the same confession. I'm not who you think I am. I'm who I pretend to be. And the best part? The more they try to prove they're pure, the darker they look. Because innocence doesn't need defense, guilt does. Their denial becomes their confession. Their performance becomes their downfall. You don't even have to expose them. They do it all by themselves, one fake smile at a time. The fragile ego, that's the funniest part of all. You'd think manipulators were confident, powerful, untouchable. But no, behind the smirk, behind the charm, behind the calm voice that tells everyone they're the sane one, hide something tiny, trembling, starving for validation. Their ego isn't made of steel, it's made of glass. One truth, one honest word, one tiny rejection, and crack. It starts to splinter. You can see it when someone dares to question them. The way their smile fades for just a second. The flicker of panic before they rearrange their mask. They can't handle not being admired, not being in control of the narrative. It's not that they hate you. No, they hate what you see, because you see through them. They build this whole kingdom of lies just to protect that fragile little self-image, that fantasy version of themselves they want the world to adore. They'll do anything to keep that image shining. They'll gaslight, manipulate, guilt trip, and twist emotions until everyone around them becomes a puppet in their little play. They can't survive without admiration, without someone believing they're the good one. It's their oxygen. And when you stop feeding them that validation, when you finally stop clapping for their performance, they suffocate. They can't breathe in a world where they're not the center, not the hero, not the victim. Their ego demands worship, but it's built on lies so fragile that even the truth whispered too close becomes a hammer. So they hide behind moral speeches, fake empathy, crocodile tears, all the while calculating how to twist sympathy into power. And the moment they feel that power slipping, that's when the mask melts. You'll see the rage, the venom, the cold emptiness behind those eyes. Because to them, exposure isn't just embarrassment. It's annihilation. Their ego can't survive being seen for what it is. So they fight. They smear, they lie, they invent stories about you. Anything to keep the spotlight off themselves. The funniest part? They'll accuse you of everything they're guilty of. That's projection, their favorite trick. If they're manipulative, suddenly you're toxic. If they're lying, suddenly you're two-faced. It's all theater, and they're the playwright, the actor, and the audience clapping for themselves. Their fragile ego can't handle accountability, because accountability burns through delusion. And delusion is their only shield. They live off perception, not reality. Reality would destroy them. So they sculpt their identity from attention, from pity, from control. Every compliment feeds the illusion. Every doubt starves it. And deep down, they know it's all fake. They feel it every night when the applause stops, when the messages stop, when there's no one left to manipulate. That silence terrifies them more than any confrontation ever could, because in that silence, they face the truth they've been running from, that without their games, without their lies, without their victims, they're nothing. And that's why they keep performing, because the fragile ego needs an audience. It needs someone to believe the script, to play the part of the believer. The fragile ego doesn't want peace. It wants control disguised as love. It doesn't want truth. It wants validation dressed as honesty. They want to be adored, even if it means being fake. They'd rather be a beautiful lie than an ugly truth. And they'll spend their whole life defending that illusion, no matter how many people they destroy in the process. The illusion of control, that's their favorite trick. They think they're the puppet master, pulling strings, playing people like instruments in some grand little symphony they composed in their head. Every move calculated, every word rehearsed, every fake emotion timed just right. They convince themselves they're the ones steering the ship, the one shaping everyone's perception, the one always 3 steps ahead. But the truth? The truth is they're just as trapped in their illusion as everyone they're trying to manipulate. They don't control the game controls them. Control gives them a sense of safety. It's their drug, unpredictabilities. They can't stand unpredictability, can't stand people thinking for themselves, can't stand a version of reality where their voice doesn't echo loudest in the room. So they craft little worlds where they get to be the center. They study your weaknesses, your fears, your triggers, and they use them like chess pieces. Smile when they need to charm you, cry when they need to guilt you, rage when they need to dominate you. They think they're directing a masterpiece of deception, but what they don't see is how obvious the pattern becomes, how predictable their manipulation feels once you've seen behind the curtain. The control they think they have is only real as long as people play along. The moment someone stops reacting, their whole illusion collapses. That's when they panic. You'll see it in their eyes, the flicker of confusion, the silent scream of a mind that's losing grip. They'll double down, push harder, lie louder. They can't accept losing control, because losing control means facing themselves. And that's the one thing they can't manipulate. You can lie to everyone, but you can't lie to the mirror. They know what they are, even if they'll never admit it. So, they try to control everything outside to avoid confronting the chaos inside. They confuse domination with power. But power doesn't come from control. It comes from composure, and manipulators have none. They live in fear disguised as confident. Every move they make, every scheme they plan, it's not strength, it's desperation. Desperation to not be seen as weak, to not be abandoned, to not be forgotten. They try to control others because they can't control their own emotions. That's the irony. The person screaming the loudest about power is always the weakest one in the room, And when things start slipping, when their lies stop working, when people stop believing, that illusion starts burning from the inside out. They'll feel it like fire crawling up their spine. The terror of losing grip on their little empire of deceit. They'll try to rebuild it fast, frantic, convincing themselves they can still fix it, still twist the truth just enough to regain control. But control isn't something you can force. It's something you lose the moment you start chasing it. The illusion becomes their prison. Every lie demands another lie. Every manipulation breeds more paranoia. They start watching everyone, suspecting everyone, doubting everyone. They become the very thing they fear, powerless. And that's when the illusion turns on them. The strings they thought they were pulling, now they're wrapped around their own neck. They can't breathe without lying, can't exist without controlling, can't rest without pretending. And deep down they know it. The illusion of control is the only thing keeping them sane. And the very thing driving them insane